Hi again, it's Maureen from Victorian Studio. I wanted to share with you a project that I just completed. It's an altered frame that I found at Value Village a few weeks back when I was shopping for another project that I completed. It was a frame that I found in, of all places, the bathroom section. I didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't know why there was hooks on it, but it looked like a picture frame. It had a piece of glass and a removable backing that you could insert a photo into. But I definitely didn't want to use it as a frame. I wanted to turn it into a chalkboard that also held 4 keys from the hooks. So here's a photo I took while I was making it with Tawny, my supervisor, inspecting my work so far. I took out the hooks and painted the whole thing black and then started to play with some textures and deciding what I was going to do with this. So here's the finished project. I've added the pattern paper, distressed the burlap, the hooks, the rope, added a chalkboard, and all the other embellishments. I'll go through exactly how I made everything here. So the first thing I did was take the whole frame apart and painted it using this acrylic black paint. Then I got out some spray chalkboard paint to paint that back part. I took the glass off and then just gave it 2 coats of this chalkboard spray paint, and it works great for making chalkboards. You just have to use a piece of chalk to temper the chalkboard with first. So I used burlap on the top and on the bottom and attached rope on top of that using the E6000 glue to hold it in place. After the burlap and rope was attached, I then had to decide what paper I was going to use in the background. So I chose this Tim Holtz paper stash. It's his Crowded Attic collection. I've got a couple of pads of this. This is beautiful paper. It's been around forever, it seems, but I just love it. That's why I have a couple of pads. And I chose this map page. It was going to be perfect for the vintage look I was going for. All his stuff is just my style. So now that I had the background paper chosen, I wrapped it around the frame and cut out the center, and I distressed it some more with some distress ink and distress stain. They're both the walnut, and tore the edges and distressed them some more, stained around where the hooks were going, and with the burlap stained also it was nice vintage look that I was going for. Now the hooks, I also added tarnished brass stain to it to turn them from the silver to a more brassy look to match everything else. Next, I wanted to add to my antique keys some keychains and labels. So I got some of Tim's tag labels set. This comes in 3 parts: the metal base, the stickers, and an epoxy cover that you just press over top. So I added some chain and some jump rings to my vintage keys and made 4 labels. I just love the look of those. Now the chain was also silver, so I distressed it using some of Tim's tarnished brass stain, and it works really well to make the chain look older. You just dab it on and let it dry, and then just kind of work the chain around so it gets loose again so it doesn't stiffen up too much. But I really like the look it gives it rather than the bright silver. So I also added a piece of chalk for the chalkboard and hung that using some baker's twine, which was also distressed with the inks and walnut stain. I also got out the seam binding from my stash and distressed it using some inks and stains as well. I just used the distress liquid stain and some water in this mini mister on my craft sheet. I dabbed some stain on, watered it down, crumpled up the seam binding, and then dabbed it in that and let it dry, and it comes out really nice and vintagey looking. So I added it to the key, to this embellishment here, and also to this other key over here. Speaking of that other embellishment on the lower right hand corner, I also got another Tim Holtz item called Locket Keys. It's a set of 4 keyholes and small keys. And so I popped up the keyhole on some foam dimensionals so that I could insert the key right in it. And to insert the key, I used E6000 glue so it would stick out straight. The other embellishment that I put on the notepad is the collage keys. It's a set of 4 keys with an image with an epoxy cover. Again, the key was silver, so I again used the tarnished brass distress stain to color it the color I preferred. I made this little notepad to be clipped on the side of the frame. Now I've got this clip that I bought from an antique show last fall. It's made in Germany and it's beautiful. So there was a set of 9 that was for sale, so I thought I could just use one on this and still have 8 in my other set. So it hangs the chalk really well. The baker's twine is tied to the back of that. And I also made this little notepad using the same paper as I did for the frame. I made the front and back covers and distressed them, and then inserted just copy paper that's perforated using again my tonic perforator tool. That's hard to say. So I think that's about it. I think I've remembered everything. If you have any questions or want to see more still pictures of this project, just head over to my blog. I've got quite a few in-process pictures that I've added there. It was so neat to be able to make this project to hang some of my real vintage keys from. I love the Tim Holtz products. They're just perfect for projects in my Victorian studio. And I have to share with you why I also use this paper. If you notice, there's Winnipeg. So when I was placing this paper on the frame, I had to make sure that it didn't get cut off so that I could still see my home city right there. So that's my project. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made it. I had a lot of fun turning something that I really didn't know what it was from the bathroom section at Value Village into something that I can display in my studio. So thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time.